Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Well, welcome. This is going to be a great show today. I'm so excited about today because of this past week, all the calls I've gotten from my ninjas across the country on things we've been teaching on, the actual selling process, the asking questions, the no puking on them. You guys see this all the time. Again, if you want one of these customer presentation close protectors, just reach out to me at help@adjunctceo.com, help@adjunctceo.com, and I'll be happy to get one in the mail to you. They're a lot of fun, just to remind you to ask open-ended questions. Also, I want to remind you, if you're in the Tampa Bay area or anywhere in the country, you can pick us up on noon on every Saturday. Actually, it's 12:05, right after the noon news. We got the Adjunct CEO show, and we spend an hour with various CEOs around the community or around the country that are sharing their journeys and the things that have helped make them successful. It's been a big success, and we're really proud of that. So look for us at 12:05 on noons on 1380 AM radio, and that's on Saturdays, and it's on the iHeart Network if you're around the country or want to hear it online. So today I want to talk about something that we've talked about in the past, but I want to get it back and redefine it because I got some interesting questions this past week from some of my ninjas. And it's what is a true cold call? And how do you cold call? Well, first off, let me tell you, I had super wins this week with my ninjas. I had one ninja call me, and they went out ticking and cold calling, and they walked in and they had a client say, "Wow, your timing is perfect." Gave them all the information, and they're putting a proposal together and are the only one on the deal. I had another one of my ninjas call me and have actually had breakfast with him, and he shared how he's representing a smaller company that's, their average sales are small, and just to do his ticking and cold calling, he went to a huge potential client, figuring there's no downside to it. Walked in, met two people, then subsequently met another person, and now has appointments on a cold call for a company that does over $1 billion a year, and he can slice pieces out of there and do it for them that would be a rounding error in their budgets and make him a top salesperson in his company. So don't ever underestimate the client. So here's what I want to tell you and share with you today and challenge you with today is going back to that customer value list that we keep talking about. And if there's a previous show, go back and listen to that. But you really want to know who uses what you do. If you're selling copy machines, almost everybody does. If you're selling condominium insurance, it's probably just condominium associations. But with that list, you want to do true cold calls on the people that you know that they use your services. Here's the thing. First step, go see them. So when you know somebody uses what you do, don't send them email blasts. Don't try to get people to refer you in. Just go see them. When you go see them, walk in. Meet the gatekeeper. I have one gatekeeper I met that I'm sending this to today. She and I had a nice visit. She shared with me about her daughter, and her daughter was in opera. And I found this cool book online, and I got this book for her daughter. And I spent, I don't know how much, but this is going to be a big asset to her daughter. I really liked the lady. She was really friendly to me. Oh, and coincidentally, they're a big possible customer. Is there any downside to this? The answer is no. So when you go in, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've ridden with people on their first calls and they just walk in and go, who do I need to call on here? No, introduce yourself. Shake their hands. Reach over the counter. Shake their hands. Ask their name. Hi, I'm Dean Akers. I'm with Adjunct CEO. What's your name? Mary? Mary, it's nice meeting you. Then engage them and engage them about their business. Hey, I was driving by and I saw this cool building you're in. I was really interested in what you do, Mary. And she goes, well, we do this, this, and this. Again, I haven't said I need to meet the CEO. Da 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 da. All I want to do is get that break. I'm also going to ask Mary, how long have you been with the company? She goes, well, I've been here 5 years. Again, I've said this on previous shows. When you meet the gatekeeper, the person at the front desk that's been there over 1 year, what do you know? You know, he or she knows everything. She knows everything and everybody. So now, is there any point in trying to dive in and close a sale on the first call? No, because that ain't going to happen. The odds of that happening are slim to none. Now, you may get a thing like my one walked in and said, it's your lucky day, and the receptionist introduced and they were able to meet, and now they're on the track to close the sale, but they didn't walk in and somebody write them a check saying, wow, thank you, we just bought from you. So now you've introduced yourself, you've reached out and engaged them and shake their hands, you've asked them a little bit about themselves. Now you're engaging them with some questions, and then you ask who you should meet. And if she says you should meet so-and-so, you ask, would it be okay if I met them today? Being very polite to her. And if she goes, yes, I'll go get them or whatever, don't worry about it. That's your first step. Now, I actually had somebody the other day when I asked them what their challenge was, because they weren't quite getting the cold calls. And I asked them, and they finally came clean. They were afraid. They point out said, I'm afraid. And I said, I got it. It's the fear. I have a lot of confidence, maybe from the years. I don't really care. And my ninjas understand we go in with the idea if you get thrown out, no big deal. You started with 0. And if you get something great, if you get 0, you're no worse off than you started. And that's the beauty of cold calling. But I dealt with the fear. And I told her, I said, again, it's kind of like, and some people don't like this analogy, but I've used it for 40 years now. It's like being drunk, falling off a floor if you're laying on the ground being drunk. You don't fall off the floor. There's no downside. So this fear is something you just got to let go. If you got to have fun with it, if you got to listen to a podcast like this before you go in, remember, you're okay. You're okay. Go in. Introduce the person across the desk. They're a person just like you. Don't be fearful. Don't be fearful. Have fun. So what I want you to do, I want you to think about it this week. How are your sales? Are your sales doing what you want them to do? Are they growing like that you want them to grow? By the way, I want to throw something in, like you want to. Some of my ninjas work on goals that their company set for them. When we do the value analysis, we find those goals are usually pretty easy or pretty light, even though a lot of times they don't hit them because they're not using the processes. So I want to make sure this is about the YOU. Make sure you're good with the cold calls. Make sure you know who you're wanting to get as a client when you stop in. Make sure you're introducing yourself to the person that you're meeting. Make sure you're smiling and engaging. And then use these calls as a platform to grow your confidence. By the way, cold calling will build your personal confidence. Build your personal confidence in dealing with people in your church, your community, even your kids. It builds confidence. So use cold calling for all the rewards and benefits it gives you. It gives you higher income if you're in sales. It gives you higher success if you're a company trying to go. It gives you self-confidence. And in my case, it gives me the satisfaction of having fun. So make cold calling all those great things. So this week, we've talked about it. You're going to go in. I want you to go into at least 10 places this week you've never been. Introduce yourself. Shake their hands. Ask their names. Ask something about their company. Ask one point about them, and then leave. Once you go out there this week, Cold call like a crazy person on 10. Reach out at help@adjunctceo.com and send me your comments. Send me your wins. I love it when you guys email me, and I love all the emails I get. I love the questions I get. I love the emails about this happened. Can you give me some advice? That's what I'm here for. I'm here for your success. So you have a great one, and we'll talk to you next week.
We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanakers.com. Also, visit us at www.deanakers.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.